The Pacific Northwest, a region nestled between the Pacific Ocean and Rocky Mountains, that experiences wet winters and dry summers. It is made up of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, known for its incredible scenery, diverse landscapes, and everything outdoors. Northwesterners and visitors alike love the outdoors and all the outdoor activities the Northwest has to offer. Now, why is climate change so important to the health of the people in the Northwest? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and one of them is the air we breathe. Air quality in the Northwest is a growing concern, especially with climate change and the impacts it can have on air pollution, airborne allergen exposure, and wildfires. But before we dive into that, let's take a step back and look at the two big bad guys of air pollution that affect human health the most in the Northwest: ozone and particulate matter. Ozone is a gas composed of 3 atoms of oxygen, and it occurs in both the Earth's upper atmosphere and at ground level. But there's a huge difference between the two. Good ozone is called stratospheric ozone and occurs naturally in the upper atmosphere. There, it forms a protective layer that shields us from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays. The evil or bad ozone is the ozone formed in the troposphere at ground level and is a harmful air pollutant because of its negative effects on people and the environment. Bad ozone is not emitted directly into the air, but it is created by chemical reactions between oxides of nitrogen and volatile organic compounds. This happens when pollutants emitted by cars, power plants, industrial boilers, refineries, chemical plants, and other sources chemically react in the presence of sunlight. Particulate matter is a mixture of solid particles and liquid droplets found in the air. They can be large or dark enough to be seen with the naked eye, or so small they can only be detected using technology. There are 2 types of particulate matter that pose the greatest risk to human health: PM10, which is the atmospheric particulate matter with a diameter smaller than 10 micrometers, and PM2.5, which is the atmospheric particulate matter with a diameter smaller than 2.5 micrometers, with PM2.5 being more harmful between the two. Some are emitted directly from a source, such as construction sites, unpaved roads, fields, smokestacks, or fires, though most particles form in the atmosphere as a result of complex reactions of chemicals such as sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, which are pollutants emitted from power plants, industries, and automobiles. PM2.5 is much easier to inhale and so small that it can be inhaled deeply, easily entering the body's system. To give a sense of just how small particulate matter is, imagine a strand of human hair and try to picture something a lot smaller than that. These 2 air pollutants will see some major changes with climate change. Increasing CO2 concentration is a primary driver of global climate change, and warmer temperatures. Warmer temperatures and more CO2 available in the atmosphere have resulted in an alteration and extension of the time period during which plants pollinate. One example of this is ragweed, which can be found extensively throughout Idaho, eastern and southern Oregon, and in select parts of Washington. And in the United States, approximately 26% of the population has a positive skin test reaction to ragweed. An experiment was conducted that looked at the growth of ragweed under 3 different concentrations of CO2: pre-industrial, present, and the future. When compared with each other, the results showed that plants grown in increased CO2 concentrations not only produced more pollen, but also more pollen with key allergy-causing proteins. On average, high concentrations of CO2 produce 32% more plant biomass and 55% more pollen than plants grown in lower CO2 concentrations. This will result in more severe and longer-lasting allergy symptoms. And if you have asthma as well, longer pollen seasons with pollen that contain higher concentrations of allergenic proteins increase the risk of triggering an attack among those suffering from asthma. Climate change will bring warmer springs, longer summer dry seasons, and drier soils and vegetation. These conditions are already lengthening the wildfire season, but will also increase the frequency of large wildfires. Wildfires are a source of ground-level ozone precursors, and a major source of fine particulate matter, especially PM 2.5. Since the mid-1980s, the total US area burned by wildfires has been increasing, with fires in the northwest United States accounting for 50 to 60% of that increase. Various studies show that much of the Northwest is at risk for increased future wildfire activity. The Pacific Northwest is known for its clean air and two of the country's cleaner cities, Seattle and Portland, and they can easily become just as polluted as the dirtiest cities in Asia. In 2018, for a few weeks, the Northwest was turned into a gauzy orange blanket of haze due to the hundreds of wildfires burning in every direction for weeks. And for that brief moment, Seattle and Portland were the second and third dirtiest major cities on Earth, only behind the northern neighbor, Vancouver, British Columbia. Increases in particulate air pollution and tropospheric ozone concentrations directly impact human health. Breathing ground-level ozone can trigger a variety of health problems, including chest pain, coughing, throat irritation, and airway inflammation. It can also reduce lung function, harm lung tissue, worsen bronchitis, and asthma. There's a well-documented link between exposure to air pollution and risk of heart attack, stroke, some types of cancer, and respiratory disease, all of which are leading causes of death in the Northwest. The people who will see the most risk from ground-level ozone include people with asthma, children, older adults, and people who are active outdoors, especially outdoor workers. And the people who currently have heart or lung diseases, children, and older adults are most likely to be affected by particle pollution exposure. Now back to the main question, why is climate change important? Well, more frequent wildfires and poor air quality are expected to increase respiratory illnesses. On a positive note, the potential health impact of climate change is low for the Northwest relative to other parts of the United States, but that does not mean we are not affected. Happy Earth Day! And thanks for watching!